In today's video, I will be talking about the 2 credit cards I have, their pros and cons, rewards, all that stuff, and then why I stopped using a debit card. Quick disclaimer, I'm not advocating for anyone to go out and get a credit card just because of this video. Make sure you do a lot of research if you're looking into getting a credit card, or research in how to manage credit cards, and if needed, consult with a professional as well. So I have 2 credit cards. One I use daily for my regular everyday purchases, and another one I use for travel. Before I get into the specifics of each card, I want to talk about why I stopped using debit cards. Quick story time. Back in October 2019, I was rushing to go to a yoga class after work. I had left work late and I needed cash to pay for the class because they only accepted cash. Went to the bank, got cash, went on my way and got to yoga. Cool. Never rush. When I tell you, I was always very, very careful with my debit card. I didn't swipe it just anywhere. I was very conscious of where I swiped my card. I never used an ATM that wasn't associated with my bank's ATM. 1, because of ATM fees, and 2, just because sometimes they're just not as secure. When you're using an ATM, if you don't know, you're supposed to check the card reader. Another thing, you try to lift up the keyboard. It shouldn't be able to lift. So you always check the card reader and the keyboard. Always did that. This one time, I was rushing. I don't know where my mind was, and I did not check it, and I definitely regret it, but it happens. So a couple days later, I'm at Grand Central and I was at that specialty donut shop, and I was like, because I have a sweet tooth, so I wanted to get one, and I swiped my debit card and it declined. I was like, that's weird. I know I have the money in my account, so I'm not thinking anything of it. So at that time too, my debit card didn't have a chip, so I was like, you know what, I really should probably get a chip. This is probably why it's declining, because I don't have the chip. So I was like, whatever, I paid with my credit card then. I went to the ice cream, little ice cream shop not far from it. I wanted ice cream as well as my donut. So I go to pay and I swipe my debit card again and it declined again. And I was like, damn. I was like, I guess Grand Central really doesn't like cards without chips. Nothing was alerting in my head that anything was wrong, because I knew I had the money in my account. So I was like, it's the card. It's absolutely the card. They just need a chip. Paid with my credit card there, whatever. That night I had gotten home and I remember my parents said oh, your bank called and they left a message. And I was like, my bank called? And then everything started clicking. I was like, wait. So I'm quickly trying to log into my account, and that's when I saw it. My mouth dropped. They stole almost $1,900 out of my account. So first off, F scammers. F them. I was so mad. That's my money. I worked hard for it. What did I do to you? Nothing. So my debit card had been compromised and they took almost $1,900, and I was just like, oh my God. So of course, I'm calling the fraud department of my bank and customer service. So when we got on the phone, I was just explaining the situation, and she was like, yeah, are these purchases from you? And I was like, no. Fast forward through all that stuff. I think they said 7 to 10 days for the investigation to take place, and then they would decide what money gets sent back to my account. I was like, 7 to 10 days is a long time. That's actually crazy for people to your account gets compromised and you have to wait that long to get your money back. But whatever. What made me feel a little bit better is that another customer service person I spoke to said, did you lose the card? I was like, no, I have the card on me. And she's like, okay, they have a way of knowing when the real card isn't in use. So she's like, this should be a quick investigation and you should get your money back. I was like, okay. Did get my money back within that time frame. From that situation, I realized what I didn't like is that my account got compromised and you're taking 7 to 10 days to give me my money back. That's a long time. What I also didn't like is almost 100% sure it was from their ATM. And I just don't like how they can't 100% tell you. After that, I was like, well, you know what? I think it's time to used my credit cards only. And so I've been using my credit cards solely since that whole situation, which was like October 2019. So I literally only use my credit cards, and then very rarely do I have to actually go and get cash. Rarely I'll use cash, but everything else is solely my credit cards. So credit card number 1. I didn't really start thinking about credit cards until I was in college, and that's only because like everywhere you go there's an ad for a credit card, or like people coming on campus like, oh, you could sign up for this credit card promotion, blah blah blah. I had friends in college who had credit cards, but during college time I knew myself. I was like, I can't have a credit card now because I don't trust myself with one, point blank. And that's definitely a personal thing. Like, you have to know yourself to know if you can handle a credit card or not. And in college, like, I've been working since I was 16, so I always had like gas money and spending money, but I just knew like a credit card was not for me. So I never wanted one throughout college. I never applied, none of that. So the end of 2016 is when I really started getting into personal finance and budgeting and all of that. I may tell that story on this channel one day, but for now, that's just like when I started. So around that time is when I started looking into credit cards because I wanted to build my credit score, and I wanted to start that part of my personal finance journey. I had done like a lot of research. I was looking at like a whole bunch of different options, like what people said, the reviews, like everything. Like, I went into details, and I remember like right before I was thinking about getting one, I was talking to my mom, and like she had a whole conversation. She didn't think I was ready. I was like, I am, but she definitely gave me good advice to wait until I had like a certain amount of money in my savings account, just in case something happened and I could use that money from my savings to pay off the credit card, because the credit card debt is no joke, and she didn't want to see me go down that path. So we had agreed on an amount that I would save up to in my savings before I would even apply for the credit card, which I definitely thought that was like a smart thing to say. That's what I waited on, and then towards the end of 2016 is when I got my first credit card. And I remember like sitting there, like I put in all my information because they ask you about everything. So put all my information, and then I was like sitting there looking at the screen, and it was like approved, and I was like, okay. Okay, this is like actually happening. And then it told me my credit score right away, and I was actually like shocked. At that point, I didn't know much about credit scores yet. It was a good score, so I was like very surprised. After that, I realized it's because my student loans, since I was still in college, and I had student loans that had been like building my credit history like all that time without me even doing anything. I wasn't paying them, but they were counting as payments each month while I was in school. That definitely helped with my credit score. I am in the 800 credit club now. I could do a video on credit scores and building your credit in the future too, so let me know if you would like that. First credit card was the Discover It cashback card, and I would say like that's my first credit card. That's currently my main one that I use for everyday purchases, and it's been a pretty great card for all these years now. There's definitely some pros and cons that I'll quickly get into that, but I would say even my first year of having that credit card, I still like limited what I put on it. So for the first year of that card, I literally only used it for gas. My thinking was that like I was still kind of nervous to have a credit card, and I figured like I always have gas money. Always paid my credit card bills off in full. I never had a balance left over in either card ever, so I always paid. I was scared to go over like a high utilization rate. It's always good to stay definitely under 30%, so I never wanted to go above that. After that, anything over $100 I'll put on the credit card just so I'm getting that cash back, and I'll talk about the percentages afterwards. But that's how I first started off on that credit card. Just to overview of the Discover It credit card, I have my phone that I'm reading all this information off of. So there's no annual fee, 1% back on all purchases, no cap amount to that, and then 5% back on a few different categories, and the categories change each quarter. So for 2021, quarter one, we get 5% cash back on grocery stores, Walgreens, and CVS, and that's up to $1,500. Quarter two, 5% cash back on gas station, wholesale clubs, select streaming services, etc. I've noticed the past couple of years for the fourth quarter, they always have it as like Amazon, Walmart.com, and Target.com. They definitely do that for the holiday season, which works because, I mean, who doesn't buy from Amazon during the holiday season. So the pros would be the cashback, no annual fee, primarily accepted everywhere in the US, an easy and like very clean app. It's just easy to use, easy to see your balance, easy to pay the whole balance off. So I would say those are the pros for the card. And the cons for me are that it's only 1% cashback, because there's definitely other cards that have more than 1% if you're looking for a cashback card. The 5% is nice in the rotating categories. I do like that, but I think it could be better than 1%, because think about it. I mean, like, I don't pay any interest to them, but these credit card companies charge like 18, 20, 25% interest to people, and they're only giving 1% back. So I think definitely the percentage could be higher. And then my biggest con for it, it's really only for the US. Discover isn't accepted in Canada. It's not accepted in Europe. I'm sure it's not accepted in a lot of other countries as well. I have used it a couple of times internationally, but then the reason why I got my second card is because one, I was looking for a new one, and two, I was starting to travel more international destinations, and Discover wasn't being accepted there. And another issue I've started to see is some US merchants aren't accepting Discover either. So that's pretty annoying. Like, there's no reason why I should be going something like, oh, we don't accept Discover. Like, I don't like that at all. So yeah, those are the cons. Other than that, it's been great. I have no issues with that one. Card number 2. So my second card is my travel card, and that one is actually one that I have with a airline, and that is the JetBlue Plus card. At the time I got this card, I was doing a lot of research because I knew I needed a second card. I wanted one that was going to either give me a lot of miles so I could travel more, or just like have a lot of benefits that I know I could use. And I ultimately ended up going with this card, one, so I could use it pretty much everywhere. I just thought it was a really good deal for me, and I love JetBlue. I was flying JetBlue constantly, so I figured that I was gonna get all these miles for it. It was a good deal. It's funny, I always tell myself, like, I'll never get a credit card that has an annual fee. I lied, because this one has an annual fee. Annual fees, I feel like I'm okay paying a credit card that has an annual fee as long as all of the incentives that I get either pay for or outweigh the annual fee. Everything else pretty much I think can cover the $99 fee. So with this card, currently 40,000 JetBlue miles after you spend $1,000 within the first 90 days. My promotion was 40,000 miles. And I remember I was strategic of when I got the card too, because I know I had like a few different big purchases coming up that would equal up to the $1,000. That worked for me. 6 points per dollar on all JetBlue eligible purchases. So if you're purchasing like a vacation package, a flight, if you're purchasing in flight, like you get 6 points for all JetBlue purchases pretty much. 2 points for grocery stores and restaurants, 1 point per dollar for everything else. You get 5,000 miles for your anniversary of the card every year, $100 statement credit back if you purchase a vacation package with JetBlue, and 50% off in-flight savings. I never paid for stuff on a flight until I got this card. Like, I would never even open up the little card menu. And then I got this card, I was like, well, I get 50% off, so it's really not bad. And like, I remember at one point, it was like every single flight I was ordering like extra food or a drink, or like a drink for a friend. I'm like, yeah, it's 50% off. That's how they get you. Let's talk about pros and cons for this card. This JetBlue Plus card I got like mid 2018, so I've had it for a couple years now. The pros are it's associated with JetBlue, so I've gotten so many like miles from it. The 40,000 miles that I got, I believe I got 2 domestic round trip tickets to like different cities, and then a one-way another time. 2.5 trips it pretty much paid for. I still have so many JetBlue points that it's insane. The 50% off, I mean, it makes you spend more money in flight, but it's fine. It's a good little perk. So the pros for the JetBlue Plus card would be all the JetBlue benefits, no foreign transaction fees. Also, I get a free check bag, and for me and up to 4 people if I book a reservation with other people. The cons, the annual fee is definitely a con unless it's being like paid for with all of this other stuff. Another con, which they're kind of working on it. So the app, I didn't really like it as much compared to the Discover app, but they've made some improvements, because like in the past they didn't have a button for you to click to pay, just pay your current balance. So you used to have to like manually type in what you wanted. They recently added in the current balance button, which is good. So there's one time that my JetBlue card did get compromised, but the difference between my debit card getting compromised and a credit card getting compromised, so they had called my cell phone and I didn't answer because I don't answer random numbers. I remember like I had checked my credit card app like later that day, and when I went into the app, like there was just like all this like red commotion alerts, and I was like, what the heck? And I was like, did you make this purchase? And I'm like, whoa. I called them right away. That wasn't me. They're like, okay, no problem. That like random purchase did not even hit my account. And she was like, okay, so we're gonna send you a new card. It should be there in like whatever amount of days. And I was worried because I was going on a trip soon and I needed that card. And I was like, is there any way, like I'm leaving? And she's like, okay. And they overnighted it to me for free. So thank you for that. That was definitely like a stress reliever. But it was just a huge difference versus like debit card, that money comes out right away. And it came out right away and I didn't get it back until like 7 to 10 days. Versus credit card, they were like, is this you? And I was like, no. They're like, okay. And they just delete it. It didn't hit my posted transactions, nothing. Like it was off from pending completely. It was just a huge difference. This is probably like how it should be. I've never had an issue using my credit cards only. I love it. Since I've started using credit cards only, my cash back has definitely been a whole lot more on my Discover card because that's my everyday card. So for all things that I would have been using for my debit card, using my credit card now is just get all this money back. And I was like, why haven't I thought about this in the past? But I think it also comes to like just not being ready for that in the past, or just not having the knowledge for it. It took a lot of like research and just understanding like how I work, how I do my money, because I always budget. So it's not like I'm just swiping my card for a whole bunch of things and hoping at the end of the month I have enough to pay off my credit card bill. Like when I swipe, it's because I know I have that within my budget for whatever it is. So that's definitely helped me also along the way. Will I get another credit card? I actually am planning to get another one. That one has a higher annual fee, but as long as, of course, that everything could outweigh it. I'm looking to get another one just because I want more than 1%. So that's what's really driving me to look for a different card. And yeah, so I am looking into that eventually. Will I ever go back to debit cards? Nah. I really can't see myself doing it. To me, using my credit card is like a debit card because I think of that money as gone once I swipe my credit card. And let me know if you guys like this kind of video. It's more like a story time, and I don't know, I feel like I do a lot of talking. But let me know if you guys like this video. Comment down below if you have questions for me about this, about credit cards. If you guys want that credit score video too, leave that comment. If you made it this far in the video, thank you so much for watching. Consider subscribing, and then I will see you guys at my next video.